The world's most expensive palace isn't just built with stone, it's built with secrets. From Beijing's Imperial access to Mumbai's modern Billionaire shrine, these palaces hold more than gold. They hold power, betrayal, and untold luxury. Some are still alive with royal footsteps, others haunted by revolutions. Watch till the end, because one palace hides a truth that was never meant to be seen. And trust us, it changes everything. The Forbidden City, $70 billion of eternal control. Hidden behind blood-red walls and guarded by marble lions that haven't blinked in centuries, the Forbidden City isn't just a place, it's a message. One carved into the earth by emperors who believed they were chosen by the heavens, and built a $70 billion symbol to prove it. Located in the very heart of Beijing, this ancient stronghold spans 180 acres and includes 9,999 rooms, just one short of divine perfection because only the gods could have 10,000. Every single room, hall, corridor, and gate is steeped in imperial symbolism. This wasn't a home, it was a cosmic throne made physical, the axis of the empire, the beating heart of a world where every inch of space served to remind subjects they were not looking at a man, but a god. Constructed from 1406 to 1420 by over 1 million workers, it housed 24 emperors across nearly 5 centuries. The land it occupies today is valued at more than $19.6 billion, thanks to its location in one of the most expensive districts in Asia. But what lies inside is far more astonishing. Behind its vermilion doors are vaults of dynastic treasures, ancient scrolls, jade carvings, porcelain rarities, imperial seals, golden thrones, silk robes stitched with dragon veins, some of which have never been shown to the public. Experts estimate these cultural and historical relics alone exceed $50 billion in value. And then there's the design. The golden roofs, illegal for anyone but the emperor. The central dragon motif, symbolic of unchallengeable power. Even the pathways were layered with invisible protocols. No footsteps were equal here. The commoner bowed, the noble stood back, and the emperor walked alone. Today, the Forbidden City is technically a museum visited by millions, but it hasn't stopped ruling. Its architecture still radiates fear, discipline, symmetry, and control. It's not just preserved, it's still in command. And perhaps the greatest irony, the very palace built to keep people out now invites the world in. But don't be fooled. You're not exploring it. It's watching you. Now, if you were allowed just 1 hour to roam its 9,999 rooms, which one would you enter first, and why? Drop your answer in the comments. Versailles, $50.7 billion of power addiction. Versailles was never just a palace. It was a performance, a calculated hallucination where power dressed in silk strutted under chandeliers and watched itself in 357 mirrors. Once a simple hunting lodge on the outskirts of Paris, it became, under the will of Louis XV, the $50.7 billion theater of ego, where even sunlight obeyed the king. The transformation was no accident. Louis XV, the self-declared Sun King, understood that architecture could rule better than armies. Versailles wasn't about function, it was about spectacle. A place where no one could forget who stood at the center of the French universe. And so, stone by stone, he turned it into an empire of illusion. A mirror-lined labyrinth where the walls whispered obedience. At its heart was the Hall of Mirrors, a 73-meter-long corridor lined with Venetian glass, reflecting not just light but hierarchy. Courtiers would wait hours just for the king to pass, rehearsing their bows, their smiles, their silence. Each mirror became a surveillance device, recording vanity, ambition, betrayal. But Versailles was more than a hallway of glass. It had its own opera house, its own cathedral, its own coded rituals. The gardens stretched for miles, sculpted to obey geometry as rigid as protocol. Fountains danced only when royalty approached. Even nature had to ask permission to bloom. Every ceremony here was theater. Breakfast was a stage. Dressing was a ritual. Power was no longer held, it was performed. And the audience? France itself, watching, applauding, suffering. But Versailles had a price, not just its staggering real estate value, over $50.7 billion when you account for the land, the structures and the priceless art, but its deeper cost, discontent. Because outside these golden gates, grain prices rose, revolution fermented, and while the mirrors reflected opulence, they also reflected something else: distance. Between the people and their king, between performance and truth. Versailles didn't just host parties, it birthed consequences. The guillotine didn't arrive uninvited. Today, Versailles is open to the public, but look closely, and it still performs. Tourists walk where queens once whispered, cameras flash beneath ceilings painted with conquest. The palace no longer belongs to kings, yet somehow it still commands. As if the ghosts of velvet and revolution still take curtain calls beneath the mirrors. Istana Nurul Iman, $34 billion of oil-fueled grandeur. You don't stumble upon Istana Nurul Iman, it emerges, like a mirage from the rainforest, too large to ignore, too lavish to process. Tucked inside the quiet, oil-rich kingdom of Brunei, this is not merely the world's largest residential palace, it's an oil-fueled hallucination, sprawling across 2.15 million square feet, designed to make even Versailles seem modest. Built in 1984 for Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, the palace whispers in Arabic, glimmers in gold, and floats above the Brunei River like a crowned illusion. But beneath its soft domes and Islamic arches lies a brute reality. 1,788 rooms, 257 bathrooms, 564 chandeliers, and a banquet hall fit for 5,000 guests, all wrapped in a shell of $34 billion. Yes, you heard that right, $34 billion. That includes custom Italian marble, silk-planed prayer rooms, crystal chandeliers imported from Bacharach, and air-conditioned stables, not for people, but for 200 polo horses. And it doesn't stop there. Tucked inside this compound is a private mosque for 1,500 worshippers, built to echo the Sultan's spiritual standing as well as his secular dominance. Then there's the garage, which holds 110 ultra-luxury vehicles, from Bentleys and Ferraris to rare vintage Rolls-Royces, many armored, all polished daily. Rumor has it some of these cars have never seen the road. They exist simply because opulence demands witnesses. But perhaps the most surreal aspect is how invisible it all feels. Despite its impossible scale, Istana Nurul Iman rarely appears in Western headlines. It's shielded, not just by guards or golden gates, but by Brunei's quiet wealth, drawn from the country's vast oil reserves. Here, luxury is not flaunted, it is internalized, ritualized, and institutionalized into national identity. There are no public tours, no state gift shop, no whispering docents. The palace only opens once a year during Eid al-Fitr, when tens of thousands queue just to catch a glimpse, to feel the velvet, to taste the myth. And yet, as foreign as it may feel, Istana Nurul Iman forces a question. What does absolute power build when it is unchallenged, uninterrupted, and overflowing with cash? The answer is not just a palace. It's a statement carved into the jungle, echoing through marble halls and chandelier shadows. Some thrones are never meant to be seen, only felt. Tokyo Imperial Palace, $11.25 billion of rebirth. In the heart of the most expensive real estate on Earth, there sits a palace that doesn't scream for attention, it whispers in centuries. The Tokyo Imperial Palace, valued at $11.25 billion, is not just a royal residence. It is Japan's soul, reborn from ash and silence. Where once stood the Edo Castle, ravaged by fire, bombings, and time, now rises an architectural phoenix, fusing the minimalist grace of traditional Japan with sharp strokes of modern resilience. It is not grand in the Versailles sense, there are no golden gates shouting wealth. Instead, it hides behind moats and pine trees, shrouded in stillness. The message is clear: power here doesn't parade, it breathes. Inside this sacred fortress lies Sedan Hall, where state rituals unfold in hushed reverence. Tokugo Music Hall echoes with imperial performances, traditional Japanese court music once reserved only for emperors. The inner gardens, closed to the public for most of the year, ripple like silk with every breeze. A koi pond glimmers beneath arched stone bridges. And yet, no selfie sticks, no noise. This palace was not designed to impress tourists, it was designed to heal a nation. After World War II, while much of Tokyo was flattened, the palace was rebuilt, not in gold or Western opulence, but with deliberate humility. Wooden structures resistant to earthquakes, gardens manicured to mirror the changing seasons, every corner a metaphor, every path a statement. Japan will not collapse, it will cultivate. And yet, despite its modest exterior, the palace grounds are estimated to be worth more than most downtowns combined, given Tokyo's astronomical land prices. The symbolism of that cannot be overstated. The most precious land in the world is not occupied by banks or billionaires, but by a monarchy wrapped in ritual, legacy, and careful silence. So, what do you think? Is the Tokyo Imperial Palace a restrained masterpiece, or the most expensive disguise of power in plain sight? Let us know in the comments. Your take might just uncover the real story behind the stone walls. Antilia, $4.6 billion of billionaire excess. It doesn't look like a home, it looks like a myth made of steel and sky. Towering 27 floors above Mumbai's chaos, yet stretching as tall as a 60-story skyscraper, Antilia isn't just a private residence of Mukesh Ambani, India's richest man. It's a statement of vertical dominance, worth an estimated $4.6 billion. But this isn't a palace born of marble tradition. It's a modern-day ziggurat, wrapped in glass, concrete, and contradiction. Inspired by the lotus and the sun, its asymmetry breaks every rule of conventional design, echoing a kind of wealth that doesn't ask for permission, it rewrites the blueprint entirely. The structure is engineered to withstand an earthquake of magnitude 8, even though its biggest tremors are social. Inside, 3 rooftop helipads defy the gridlock of Mumbai. A 168-car garage sits like an underground museum of horsepower, housing Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, and a rare Maybach or two. There's a 50cb private cinema with imported leather recliners and gold leaf detailing. A snow room that creates artificial snowfall 24/7 because even in 90-degree heat, winter can be summoned at will. And then, of course, there's the full-service spa, yoga pavilion, and multiple sky gardens curated for balance, because nothing screams equilibrium like a billion-dollar monolith. But what truly elevates Antilia from excessive to emblematic is its symbolism. It wasn't built in New York or Dubai, it rose in the middle of Mumbai's contrasting skyline, a glass god beside tin roofs. The plot of land it stands on once belonged to an orphanage trust, adding fuel to debates about class disparity and urban inequality. While millions live in slums just streets away, Antilia floats above them, its chandeliers reportedly imported from Germany, each one costing more than most homes. And yet, it's not just about wealth. It's about power. In a country where lineage and visibility define legacy, Antilia doesn't hide its ambition. It hangs it in the air. So the question isn't why Mukesh Ambani built Antilia. The real question is, what happens when a home becomes more talked about than a palace, more vertical than virtue, and more expensive than most castles ever dared to be? Buckingham Palace, $4.9 billion of breathing monarchy. It breathes, not air, but history. Behind its wrought iron gates and perfectly symmetrical facade, Buckingham Palace isn't just where royalty lives, it's where centuries of British dominance are embalmed in stone. Estimated at $4.9 billion, this living monument doesn't whisper tradition, it declares it. Built not for spectacle but for control, the palace transformed from a quiet noble residence into the official royal home under Queen Victoria, whose ghost still seems to linger in the velvet shadows of the grand staircase. With 775 rooms, each hallway isn't just a passage, it's a time capsule. 188 staff bedrooms hum with quiet service, while 92 offices pulse with the logistics of monarchy, proof that this isn't just a home, it's a machine of state. And then there's the art, not displayed, guarded. Housed within its 77,000 square meters is a treasure trove valued at $12.6 billion. Original Rembrandts, priceless Vermeers, tapestries older than entire nations, and Fabergé eggs that once passed through the hands of emperors now extinct. This is not a gallery, it's a vault wrapped in royalty. Each piece is curated not for taste, but for narrative. A golden piano in the white drawing room isn't just for music, it's for message, a symbol of refinement, of soft power. Ceremony isn't performed here, it's choreographed. Royal weddings, state funerals, jubilees, they unfold not as events, but as orchestrated reminders of hierarchy. When the red carpet is rolled across the courtyard, it's not for guests, it's for the performance of legacy. Even the numbers feel mythical. 78 bathrooms, endless chandeliers, gilded moldings so delicate they had to be repainted by hand during wartime. While London burned, the throne glistened. Outside, the public sees the changing of the guard. Inside, decisions that ripple through the Commonwealth are made beneath oil paintings of ancestors who once drew borders with pens instead of guns. And unlike many royal homes frozen in nostalgia, Buckingham Palace breathes because it still reigns. Monarchs die, prime ministers rotate, but the palace, immovable, gold-veined, camera-ready, remains the epicenter of a monarchy too elegant to collapse and too branded to ignore. Because when power needs a stage, it builds itself a palace, and sometimes that palace answers to no one. Time, gold and power, why architecture still rules the world. Architecture doesn't speak, it commands. Long before microphones and media empires, power carved its name in stone and crowned itself with gold. Look closely at the world's most lavish palaces, not as buildings, but as encrypted messages. Every gilded molding, every axial corridor, every glint from a chandelier isn't about beauty, it's about dominance, silent, towering, eternal. The Forbidden City's 9,999 rooms, not excess. Precision. In ancient China, that number stopped just short of divine perfection, because only heaven could claim 10,000. The emperors knew this. Their rooftops didn't just shine, they warned. Glazed in yellow tiles, a color reserved solely for royalty, they reflected sunlight and hierarchy in equal measure. Versailles? It wasn't a palace. It was a trap. Louis XIV didn't just house nobility under one roof, he staged their obedience with 357 mirrors, forcing them to see themselves bow with every step. This wasn't reflection, it was surveillance wrapped in crystal. And in the modern age, the blueprint hasn't changed. Mukesh Ambani's Antilia, priced at $4.6 billion, towers not because of its height, but because of its statement. Royalty may be dead, but billionaires can still build temples in their own image. Its 27 floors, snow room and private helipad aren't conveniences, they're punctuation marks, branded modern power. We don't just inhabit buildings, we project through them. Even in Tokyo, where land is priced higher than gold, the Imperial Palace doesn't maximize real estate, it maximizes reverence. Vast moats, minimal access. Every wall says, "You may pass, but never enter." And that's the secret. Architecture isn't passive. It doesn't wait to be interpreted. It imprints on minds, on generations, on empires. It turns marble into memory and columns into caution. When power is afraid of fading, it turns to permanence. Cathedrals, domes, palaces that outlive names and outlast regimes. Because no matter how digital the world becomes, one truth holds. The most persuasive symbol of control still stands on a foundation, with gates too high to climb, doors too heavy to open, and ceilings that whisper, "This is who rules you." And once that's built, no crown is ever truly removed. It's simply passed room to room, hall to hall, stone to stone. The cost of glory, more than money can count. You can measure a palace in square feet, but never in significance. These structures, monuments of stone, gold, and power, are not just built, they're born. Born from ambition, from conquest, from the desperate need of leaders to leave something behind that even time cannot erase. Every inch whispers a tale not just of wealth, but of identity, because these palaces don't belong to people. They belong to errors. Walk through the Forbidden City, valued at $70 billion, and you don't just see red lacquered gates in imperial courtyards. You feel 24 emperors watching. You breathe dynastic tension sealed beneath 9,999 roofs, each meticulously designed to mimic cosmic order. That's not architecture, it's theology carved in timber. At Versailles, with its 357 mirrors and its $50.7 billion aura, the illusion becomes law. A place where aristocrats weren't just invited, they were trapped, seduced into self-obsession while their king watched the nation unravel through reflections. Here, wealth was weaponized through aesthetic. In Brunei, Istana Nurul Iman, at $34 billion, isn't merely large, it's surreal. Marble-clad prayer halls, 564 chandeliers, and air-conditioned stables for 200 horses. But this grandeur masks a deeper truth. In oil-rich kingdoms, architecture becomes an extension of diplomacy, a message encoded in domes and carpets. And then there's Antilia, the Mumbai marvel, priced at $4.6 billion, redefining palace as vertical empire. Its snow room and spa aren't luxuries, they're reminders that in the 21st century, royalty isn't inherited, it's engineered, often by names more powerful than monarchs. Mukesh Ambani, reliance. But here's the paradox. While the price tags are shocking, their real cost is paid in silence. Silence of vanished dynasties, of stories erased from frescoes, of cultural revolutions that spared the walls but not the souls inside. These palaces aren't just expensive, they are priceless, because within them lie secrets, shadows, sacrifices, and the DNA of nations. So tell us, if walls could speak, would we dare to listen? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which palace struck you most, and why? These palaces aren't just homes, they're declarations carved in marble and soaked in empire. From Versailles' mirrored arrogance to Antilia's billion-dollar vertical fortress, each one tells a story of how wealth, ambition, and legacy collide. But beyond the chandeliers and golden gates lies a question. What does true power look like when its walls start to crumble? If this journey into global grandeur made you think twice, hit that like, smash that subscribe, and join us for more untold billionaire stories, only on Billionaire Story.